Welcome, everybody, to the Magnolia Fly Podcast. This is episode 1. We're here at No Wake Outfitters in Metairie, Louisiana. The owner, Justin, was gracious enough to let us film the first episode. And I'm Tavares, your host. And today we're going to be talking with a buddy of mine who's a local and a transplant at the same time and a fly tyer and has a pretty interesting story. So today we have Mac with me, Mac Colvin.
Yeah, Colvin.
Colvin. I always want to make sure I pronounce his last name wrong because I just call him Mac. So Mac, introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about you.
Like you said, I'm Mac Colvin. I've been living down here in South Louisiana for about 10 years now when I married my wife. But I'm a North Louisiana transplant, so you might hear it in my country accent every now and then. And been tying here for the shop since right after they opened. I wish I could do it full time, but I don't. Got to, work a real boy job during the week. So on the weekends, I try to chase fish and get into trouble somewhere. So
awesome. Well, thanks, man. So I appreciate you being on the first episode, man. It means a lot to me. Me and Mac have done a little fishing together. We didn't have any luck catching any fish. We went out to one of the islands over my way, but it was a really good time. And there'll be clips of that clipped into this, so you guys will be able to see it.
Yeah, don't judge me when you see the clips, because if you put me out on like the lawn, just practice casting, I'd look beautiful. As soon as you put me on a fish, I forget where I'm at, what I'm doing. It was pretty fun. I had a great time on that trip.
Sure. So when did you move to Louisiana?
I moved to South Louisiana in 2014, right before I got married. I grew up in a town called Ruston, but my wife was from here. The job market was just better here. So we made the choice to move down here as soon as she got out of grad school. Haven't looked back since. And it's different from where I grew up. I grew up in the country, and the fishing's different for sure, but it's not at the same time. And got the opportunity to start chasing redfish once I got down here. All my in-laws are big fishermen and stuff. So having the opportunity to do that kind of opened my world from perch jerking, as we called it, and going up to Arkansas for cold water fishing. And now it's redfish all the time. That's all I think about. Redfish and carp.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. And you said your wife was going to grad school down here. Now, does she fish?
She does. Amanda fishes.
All right.
In fact, I think we fished. You fished with her a little bit at our Rio Rodeo, or Rio Rumble, we call it now. It's the club. Does the local club here, we do a fishing rodeo just for these invasive species, the Rio Grande cichlid. So if anybody watching wants a fun tournament, come on down, and usually it's the last weekend in September here in Metairie. She fishes. She's very competitive. She has done the Dirty Carp tournament, which is a carp tournament I started putting on the last 2 years. So she'll get out there she just wants to beat the boys. So that's when we started dating. That's kind of what we connected on was, she had on a Boy Scout t-shirt from her dad's Boy Scout crew, and I grew up as a Boy Scout, so it kind of sparked a conversation. We started hanging out when our first dates were going to my grandparents' pond to fish. And I remember the first fish she caught out of the pond was this bluegill, and when I say, bluegill, I'm saying like a good 10-inch bluegill, and I was like, man, that's a big fish. And she goes, oh, this is like the size of the bait we use back home. So kind of set the mood right there. And so she loves to fish, and so once we started dating and got married, she started fly fishing with me. So we've gone to Arkansas. She'll proudly tell you the 3 times we've gone up to Arkansas to go catch rainbow trout. She's beat me every time. So she's an avid fisherman when you can get her out there. She loves to do it.
All right, sweet. Well, we also want to talk a little bit about some of your interest outside of fly fishing and fly tying. We're definitely going to get into that, but there's some unique things that you're into and kind of make up who Mac is.
Yeah.
One of them is a Native American influence. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I can. That's a big thing. So if I'm not fly fishing, I'm usually at a dance or working on, I do ledger art. So if you get a chance, look that up. It's pretty awesome. It kind of all started because I was a Boy Scout, and my best friend, Lyle, me and him grew up fly fishing together. We started doing it when we were about 16 or 17, and the fishing and the powwows just went hand in hand. His family's from Oklahoma, and they're Citizen Band Potawatomi, which is a a nation up there. And so I kind of got introduced to it through him and the Boy Scouts, and it turned into something that we bonded over. We became brothers. And so it's something that I'm very passionate about. I love to do when I can find a place to go do it and just watch. So I have dance clothes and I go out there and dance. And I got where I love to draw and stuff. And that's where the fly tying aspect ties in so perfectly with the cultural stuff, is that I love to draw and do ledger art. So I draw a lot of my friends who are dancers, and I've got art that's in Texas and Oklahoma and California and Canada and all the way in Germany now. And so it's, those two, fly tying and art, just go hand in hand, because really what it is. And so me and my buddy Lyle, it was something we did together and just stuck with us. And we kind of caught that bug. And so when we're not fishing, or when we are, even if we're going to a powwow, we usually have our rods in the car. We're going to that, and then that's what I try to. I miss the. We have the Gulf Coast Classic, which is done by FFI and the Gulf Coast Council, and I missed their expo this year because I had to be at a dance. So, the two worlds sometimes pull each other, but
right.
You do one thing one year so you can go be with your family at the other place the next year, and just kind of you make it work. So.
Sure. We did miss you out there. That's my first time going to the Gulf Coast Classic, me and my wife Rose, and it was a good event.
It's always a good event. Beautiful venue, great tires.
Exactly.
If you can get out there, I appreciate you saying how good a tire I consider myself a decent tire, but I got to meet some people out there that are world class, and just hanging out with cool people, swapping fish stories and telling lies. The Classic is always fun. So I hated missing it this year. Can't wait to get back next year and set up and tie again and meet new people and hang out with old people and, have a good time doing that. That's always a blast.
Okay. Well, let's get back into or move forward into the fly tying.
Okay.
How you got into fly tying, and we'll go ahead and address the elephant in the room, your superpower.
Yeah.
As you say.
I got into fly tying because I moved down here, and I went from trout fishing to fishing in New Orleans. And I'll say this, I want to say this about New Orleans. I don't think a lot of people realize this. The fishery here in New Orleans is amazing. If you love catching redfish, it's the mecca of red fishing for sure. But in Orleans and Jefferson Parish alone, I've caught 14 different species of fish that aren't redfish. There's so many different fish species here that I didn't realize I could target, that you don't have to have a $50,000 skiff and a polling platform, and you can go out here and catch all these fish. And so I loved living down here and learning that. And when I got exposed to that, the next step for me was, well, how can I start tying flies for these fish? And so I joined the New Orleans Fly Fishers Club. We are 41 years old this year.
Wow.
And I already knew one of the guys in the club because he was my in-law's neighbor. His name is Ted Cabali, and he is a legend down here. And is a great fly tyer. And he kept saying, oh, you could do this, you could do this. And I was kind of hesitant to approach it because I was kind of, I can usually figure things out, but I wasn't sure how I was going to figure it out. But I came to a club meeting. We have fly tying nights. I brought a vise. I got a cheap vise off the eBay and took the steps to kind of learn the basics. And after that, I went with it, and I've kind of come up with my own way of doing it. And the elephant in the room, I do it all with one hand. But I've got an elbow, so I've got like a big finger is what I think about. So if I can put the material on the back of the hook, it's there. And it just became that art side of me. I don't get to get out and fish as often as I like, but I love seeing my flies go out with the other guys and come back with pictures of fish. That's like the coolest thing ever, get to live through their experiences. So it went from doing it for myself and thinking, oh, I'll save a little bit of money by buying my own materials and tying my own flies. So now I'm neck deep in materials. I've got drawers full of stuff that I'll probably never use, but it's so much fun being creative and taking someone else's idea and putting your own spin on it. And showing other people what you can do and what you enjoy. And it's really exposed me to, fly tying's exposed me to a bunch of other things I didn't think I would do in fly fishing, like going to the Classic and spinning deer hair and all this other stuff. And it all started because I wanted to tie bugs for redfish and carp and all this other stuff. My flies are here at the shop at No Wake. Justin was good enough to ask me to start tying some stuff. And so When I get the time, I tie for the shop. I tie a lot of bass flies. I grew up, going for bluegill and bass and freshwater, warm water species. So I tie a lot of bass flies for the shop. And then since I moved down here and got exposed to carp, red fishing and carp fishing, those are kind of taken over. So I love tying crab patterns. I love the aspect of fly tying that presents itself as the challenge of it, because it is hard sometimes. And I like that challenge. So I'll take something I don't know if I can do, or it kind of looks like it's hard to do. Example being, if you've ever seen quan bodies on like quans or merkins and stuff like that, those kind of classic shrimp and crab flies. And at first when I looked at it, I was like, man, that's kind of how am I going to hold the material and do it? But it just took me trial and error and a few little techniques I had to build myself, and I could do it with the best of them now. So I love fly tying. It's probably the thing that keeps me the most interested and grounded in fly fishing.
Right. And for the people who are out there watching, like, Mac was born with his superpower. So it's not something that you had to like teach yourself to do, because it was
a lot of people will come up and say, man, it must be so hard to fly fish with one hand. And my response is always, I don't know. Is it easy to do it with two hands? Because
right.
I mean, it seems hard either way. Fly tying can be, it's a challenge either way. I know no different. But I do also like to point out to people, and that's why I encourage people who are vets that have, I work in the healthcare field, so I see people who are, have strokes or some type of paralysis or limb loss or functionality. And it doesn't mean that you can't fish anymore, because, and I'd like to point out to them, I said, even though I never had to relearn again, I still had to teach myself how to do it. And, I think that's one of the fun things about it, is sharing that with other people. I've met some people online that I've showed them how I put on like lead eyes, for instance. That's kind of a tricky thing to hold and put on. And so I say, hey, here's how I do it. And I make videos. Here's how I whip finish with one hand. So for fly tying with one hand is all I've ever known. I've never had to relearn it. Right. But, like you said, I was kind of born with this ability. I never had to relearn anything, fortunately. It's just kind of figuring out how I was going to do it was all it was. And that's, right. That's never been an issue so far. I figure if I want to do something, I'll figure out how to do it.
Right. So you might actually have a little bit more to add to the story, but I was talking to one of our buddies, Peter, over in Mobile last night, and I was telling him that, coming over here to do the first episode of the Magnolia Fly Podcast with you. And he was like, man, I love that dude. He's like, he's so solid. He was like, I don't know if it was last year's ICAST or the year before that. He was like, but I was trying to show this kid something with a rod, and a joke was made by Mac about, look what happened to me. Can you kind of tell a little bit more about that story?
Yeah, well, I don't remember that one exactly, but there was a kid trying to learn a rod, and Peter was there, and I was testing out some of the TFO rods, and I don't remember exactly what he said, but I said, oh, you could do it. If I can do it with one hand, anybody can do it. And so he got Peter to chuckling. The other thing that happened, that was ICAST last year, was I kind of made if you haven't figured out, with us kind of bantering back and forth, I love to make fun of myself. I always am quick to make a joke. If you would have asked me what happened to my hand, I would have told you, before I told them, I would have told them I got bitten off by an alligator. I was a semi-pro alligator wrestling and just never could get to pro. So I always like to joke with it. And we were at ICAST, and Andy Mills was there. Andy Mills is with Hardy and is a world-renowned fly caster, and was given a general lesson to the public about fishing for tarpon and casting and stuff. And he was talking about doing a double haul. And he was talking about that the left hand has to be doing as much as the right hand. Mm-hmm. And I was just joking with a buddy, but I said it louder than I wanted to. And I was like, well, that's bull. And the joke is that I do my double haul with my elbow, and then, and just straighten it out and release the line that way. Yeah. And so it was kind of funny because all these people around us started laughing, and Andy didn't know what was going on. But afterwards, me and Andy got to talking. He said, oh, yeah, you're pretty good. And I'm decent. I don't want to say I'm like this great caster. I can make long casts if I need to, but it's always fun to pick with people and say, oh yeah, got to be careful, got to, double haul with one hand. my next venture is going to be learning to do two-handed spay cast with one hand. I want to take on that challenge and see if I can figure it out and do that. And,
I got a buddy that's a pretty good instructor, so we might be able to make
well, let's do it. I want to do it. I think there's too many. I think it's too ironic and too good of an opportunity to have some fun trying to do something like that. So I want to do it.
So we're gonna move straight into now. We're talking about the fly tying and really no challenges for you because that's all you've ever known, right? So what's your favorite fly rod and reel?
That I own or I've ever casted? Well, that's a good question. The favorite that I own?
Either you pick.
I'm a Winston fanboy, so I do like the Air 2 Max.
Okay.
But I have to say, if I was going to just say my favorite everyday rod, beater rod, I love TFO. I've met some people before that have talked bad about TFO. Mm-hmm. I love TFO. I will never be able to outperform TFO and bang for the buck. I love the Blitz. They knocked it out of the park with the Blitz.
It is a sweet rod. I don't know if you.
I don't feel guilty if I accidentally break it either. I have a few Hardys and I have a Winston and I'm always more worried about breaking them and having to explain to my wife what I did.
Right.
And then having to tell her what I actually paid for it probably is the real thing I'm afraid of. But I guess my favorite rod is Blitz.
What weight do you like?
It depends on what I'm going for, but I tend to throw a 9-weight because I tend to like to, I don't ever get a shot at bulls, but in my head, I'm always like, if I ever get that shot at that 45-inch bull, I want to be able to throw something with a little more backbone. But I like an 8 or a 9-weight. That's kind of my go-to.
So was a 9-weight what you were using on the boat with me when we saw that bull?
It was a 9-weight, yeah.
That was a big fish, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a big fish, and I didn't realize how big it is. So, total transparency, I'm pretty blind. That actually holds me back more in my fly tying than my arm does. I've had a few eye surgeries and stuff over the years, and so I could see the fish you were talking about, but I didn't know how big it was until not to ruin the story. I don't know if we'll have clips of it, but I threw. And the fish turned, so I picked up to throw again, and I put the line right across his back. And I didn't realize how big he was until he got up and tore out. And I was like, oh, that was a big fish. I mean, it was, I don't know what I would have done if I would have been if I would have hooked it, that would have been the exciting part.
It would have been a workout. So, so kind of quick story about that. Me and Mac are at one of the islands, and we're just kind of chilling, pulling along, and all of a sudden, right against the beach, I see this big dark silhouette, and I'm thinking that it's maybe a jack. And when it gets closer and I see it and I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, that's a huge redfish. And I look at, immediately tell Mac, like, hey, Mac, right up against the beach. Like, I think he might have been 40 feet, 50 feet, something like that.
I don't know if he was even 50. Probably 40 coming in quick.
Right, yeah. So, you don't see as many bulls on the islands like that, in numbers.
Right.
But when you see them, they're usually they stand out. They stick out like a sore thumb, and they're huge. So yeah, that was cool to see you casting that fish and kind of look at your reaction and just the excitement and stuff like that. I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoy going out fishing with people, just to see those reactions. And then reel, what's the reel that you like or prefer?
Well, I know you know the answer to this. I think you know what I'm about to say. I'm a Hatch fanboy, but only because I have my brother-in-law was nice enough to he takes pictures for Hatch and has been able to get me some good Hatch reels. I love Hatch. They're heavy. They're bulletproof. I love my Hatch. I have one on my 5-weight. I got one on my 8-9 weight, and I've got one for an 11 weight now. So
nice.
I think I'm set up to go. So I love Hatch. That's been, I have a few Orvis reels. I like Orvis. That was my first reel when I started fly fishing. I got a bat and kill when I was going up to Arkansas and trout fishing. So I do like Orvis, but Hatch is my favorite. I say it's Hatch or nothing. A lot of other great brands out there. T-Bore. I love all those nice ones, but Hatch is once I got my first Hatch reel, I was like, that's it. I'm spoiled now. I want one Hatch.
Well, the TFO Blitz and the Hatch, 7+, 9+.
7+ is my go-to.
So,
and I overline. I say overline. The 7+ will hold 9-weight lines, but I use it just because the weight does get a lot if you're out there casting all day. Mm-hmm. And so I take that 7+ and put 9-weight line on it, or I'll strip it off and put 8-weight. If I've got some 8-weight sinking tip, I do use out the islands, trying to catch pompano and stuff. That I love on that 7+, and that sits on my 9-weight rod. That's my redfish rod, my carp rod, if I'm throwing big bass flies, I throw them all on that. So
yeah, okay. Well, let's jump into the fish. What's your favorite fish to catch on a fly, and then what's the bucket list fish? What keeps Mac up at night thinking about?
I'll tell you my 2 favorite fish first. It's a tie. I have a hard time, and I fight which one I want to go catch more. Rio Grande cichlids are one of my favorite to catch. Pound for pound, these little bitty fish.
The bullies.
Man, they fight hard. They're fun to catch. They can be aggressive. I think they're cool. I think maybe it's a cool factor for me because they are an invasive species here in New Orleans. So it's not something you would think to catch. You wouldn't if you didn't know they were here. They're beautiful. They're this gray charcoal color with these bright turquoise blue dots all over them. They're fun to go catch, and they catch bluegill with and everything. So I just love catching them because they're everywhere here. And they can be kind of hard to catch. They've got these small mouths, so I'm throwing smaller flies. And then maybe barely just edging them out. My favorite thing to go catch are carp.
Okay.
I love catching redfish. It's a big thing down here. I do have a kayak, so I've tried to go do it in the kayak. I haven't been successful yet because I just got it in the last year, but I love going to go catch redfish, but something about catching a carp is just so much fun. I feel like carp here, I've never been anywhere else to catch them, but I feel like carp here are different than any other carp in the world because they're in these dirty canals full of trash, can't see anything. So they're just these bulldogs in this mud down here. And so they're skittish, but they're not. They're just different than what I've seen online. They're so much fun. You get out there, you'll see them. You'll be walking down the canals in Metairie, and you'll see, this big shadow swimming. You'll chase it, and when you finally get one to take, it's like nothing else. I mean, they'll put a bend in the rod. They fight like a black drum is the way I describe it to people who've never caught one. I said they just get down and just bulldoze in the mud. My absolute favorite fish to go catch, a carp, just because they're fun. They're hard. They're fun. You don't have to go far to do it. You don't have to have a boat to do it. It's every man's. Every man can go do it. So I love doing it.
Okay. We're going to segue back to that too because right. So what's the bucket list fish? What keeps you up?
I've said I want to catch. My goal has been to catch 100 different species of fish, but I said my 2 bucket list species that I want to attain before I go to the big pond in the sky is I want to go catch a Bahamian bonefish. I want to go to the Bahamas and catch world-class bonefish and try to do it. And then I want to go to South America and catch golden dorado. I don't know what it is about those 2.
My man.
I know what it is about the bonefish. When I first got into fly fishing and first got exposed, I was like, oh man, you don't have to just catch trout with fly fishing. When I was watching these videos when I was in high school of people doing it, it was all about bonefish. It was bonefish and tarpon, and just seeing these bonefish was so cool to me. And so I've always had this like fascination with going and catching bonefish. And then I don't know what it was about the golden dorado, but I watched a video of these fish and the way they're just these ambush predators, and they're just hitting these big other fish and they're just aggressive, and you throw in these big flies at them. Yeah. So I was like, that's the 2. If I don't catch anything else, if I can only pick 2 other fish, new species to catch, that's the 2 on the bucket list I've got to mark off at some point.
I'm with you on one of those. So the golden dorado that's on my list. I've yet to go chase them, and anybody who I talk to, they know, like, man, the colors,
they're
like
beautiful.
You said, the aggressive nature of the fish, the big chunky streamers that you're throwing at the fish, and you can just find it in so many different areas, like these small little rivers in South America, or big rivers, or the estuaries that they live in. It's just, they're a cool species.
I've watched people go chase them in small rivers where they're on foot, targeting these fish around rocks and stuff, to then going out in boats and catching them in these big lakes in South America. And these fish are coming up and literally hitting these bait fish from underneath. And they're not little bait fish. They're 10, 12-inch bait fish. So they're sitting out there throwing these big, almost like pike flies is what they look like to me. It's so cool. It's just such a diverse fish. so aggressive. I mean, anything with teeth on it, just it's got to be a cool fish to catch.
For sure, and the colors are beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful.
So those are the two on the bucket list. That one of these days I'll. When I get to 100 fish, those two will be in there for sure. That's the goal. Those two will be in that.
That's a good goal, man. Like I look, one of those are already on my list, so I think you're headed in the right direction. So we're gonna segue back to what your favorite fish to catch right now is, the carp.
Yeah, the carp.
Now you've been instrumental in helping put on a tournament that's 2 years running now?
2 years running now.
2 years running.
3 years coming up.
Called the Dirty Carp.
Called the Dirty Carp, yeah.
So tell me how that came about briefly.
Okay, so I was doing stuff with the club and love catching carp, and the club does a lot of little fun tournaments, and I was like, man, it'd be fun to do a carp tournament for everybody. You don't have to be a club member. I just want to do something fun. I didn't know how to do it. A couple other guys I've met down here had the similar idea, but we could never get any traction getting it going. And so I mentioned it to my brother-in-law and his best friend, and we're like, oh yeah, we were going to call it this. I'm like, no, we need to call it the Dirty Carp. And they are both big carp fishermen. So I didn't just mention it to them out of the blue. They love to go catch carp too. I was like, man, I just want to do this carp tournament. And I want to do it. There's a lot of other tournaments around here, but they're all for, the Sheepies one down here, and it's a great tournament, but you got to have a boat. And it's like, man, this is, we want to do it. This is like a grassroots, down and dirty, like anybody can do it tournament. And so it went from this weird kind of funny idea. We're going to go make a carp tournament, okay. And these two guys who have a lot of connections, a lot more than I had for sure, picked up and ran with them. I mean, it was really them. I mean, the three of us together. So it's Brent McCarron and Josh Mercadell and myself. And it's really the two of them that made it what it is. I don't want to take credit from them because they really made it what it is. I just got to come along and be fortunate enough. I was here from the beginning to be along for the ride. Right. So I want to throw all the props to them, but they took it. And before I knew it, we had Winston rods donated the first year, and TFO rods donated, and Hatch donated 6 reels, and they donated pliers, and local tires donated carp flies. People are, Justin here at No Wake Outfitters has been instrumental in making this successful because he's just all about building a community here, and that's what we wanted to do, is build a community outside of redfish, and stuff like that. We wanted to build a community here for all fly fishermen. And so the tournament came out of that, and it's just a catch, photo, release, 3 fish bag, longest 3 carp you can catch. You got to be, it's in teams because fishing's more fun with friends is what we always said.
True.
And it's all bank fishing. That's the rule. You can't be in a boat. You can't go out somewhere and try to target these, anywhere else. You got to be on a bank, and that's what it is. And it's been funny, You've done it the first 2 years with it. You've been here for the beginning too, so you can tell some stories too. I'm sure of people honking horns and stuff. But we get all over Facebook. You'll see these Facebook groups like, "What's up with all these people fishing and wearing vests? I think they're working with Fish and Wildlife because I see them measuring the fish. They must be scientists." And it was just hilarious. But it's been a blast. I love doing it. Love the people I've met from it, and it is. We're looking forward to next year because, it's like I said, it's this down and dirty carp tournament. We're catching stinky, muddy, dirty fish in these nasty canals. It's very New Orleans is what I tell people. I don't know if, but to me it seems very New Orleans. We love it. Right.
2 years running, I've fished it. The first year I found carp, but just could not feed them. Mm-hmm. Could not feed them to save my life. I think we ended up catching 2 carp. Nowhere close to sniffing any type of placement in tournament. And then this year, me and Jacob, both of our buddies, we fished a tournament, and Jacob had an injury to his right hand on one of his tendons.
I told him he gets no sympathy from me.
And and had to fish left-handed. And we went and found him and just tore him up. And I think we must have caught definitely double digit. I just can't remember exactly where in the teens that we caught, but we ended up finishing second. Yeah. And I don't know if I've been so elated or proud of myself with a fishing tournament than that one, because we literally walked 7 or 8 miles like just up and down, up and down. So you have to be in shape. I mean, and when you're catching these carp and you're targeting them, you're on a decline going down to the canal trying to balance yourself when you got to go get them. And so we end up taking second place, me and Jacob. And one of the prizes that me and Jacob won is I won some flies from actually Mac, who tied them for the dirty carp. So it's kind of goes hand in hand in what we're talking about, like your whole journey in tying flies, and then you being associated with this tournament and helping out with the tournament to like, man, I finally placed and I won some of your own flies, and you just happen to be one of my homies. So I think that's super cool. Like I haven't touched these yet. They haven't left the box yet.
Well,
and when they do, it's gonna be over here getting busy. You know,
we're gonna have to. We'll set up a day and go get busy and get dirty again.
For sure. But yeah, that tournament, I think in general is fun. If you're out there and you're watching and you happen to be in the New Orleans area or you're coming to the Metairie area and you love fly fishing, make sure you get down here for the dirty carp. Not only that, but the Rio
Rumble.
Rumble. Both of them are fun.
The dirty carp, I will say, even if we like to think we treat our everybody well. So part of it is even if you're not fishing, you're more than welcome to come hang out with us, drink beer, eat good food, and tell fish stories. Because that's that's what the dirty carp was about. It's just building this community and having a good time. Yeah. And if you want to fish it, follow us on Instagram, the Dirty Carp NOLA. And Brent is kind of the master of that Facebook page and does a great job. Me and Josh just kind of help him. But he will post on there when our next tournament is. And this year we were pretty excited. We do limit it to 25 teams, so 50 people. The first year we did it, it was a lot of, hey man, you interested in doing this? Oh yeah, I'll do it. It took us probably 2 months to sell it out. This year we had all 25 places sold out within 2 days. In fact, we had to work you in because you missed it, and so I had to pull some strings, and the team dropped out, and I was like, I think
we ended up going a little earlier than what it was.
Yeah,
the first
so we
year.
did the first year we did May, and then we pushed it up into the beginning of April this year to avoid. We were always around Mother's Day and stuff like that, trying to make it where
Mother's Day.
And we caught them.
I'm joking, ladies. I'm joking. We love y'all.
We try to make it kind of a little bit before they spawned out because that was part of the first year too. We did it right as they were getting ready to spawn, and they were already spawning, so they were a little bit pickier on the eats and stuff. But
see, then I have an excuse. That's why I was trash.
I got your back.
That's why I sucked.
Yeah. But they and we always do fun. I mean, I could make a 4-hour video on talking about the dirty carp and how much fun it is. So.
And I think, man, we have so much material and so many things to cover with you that I think we're definitely going to run another episode back with you on here just to catch up.
I would love to do it.
What I kind of want to do is just throw a curveball at you because I'm a big music person.
Yeah.
Music kind of drives everything for me. I listen to music at the gym. I listen to music while I'm cleaning up. I listen to music riding out on the skiff to the spot and riding back. It just gets me in the mood. So what's your favorite band and what's your favorite song? And how does that kind of tie into fishing for you?
I don't know if it ties into fishing other than so my favorite bands, they always change. I love music. So you hit that's something else we share a lot about. I love music. At work all day, I've got at least one earbud in with music going. When I tie flies, if it's not for Jacob in one piece, trying to keep up with him, it's music that's going when I'm tying flies. I love music. There's very little music that I cannot appreciate and enjoy. But my musical taste is maybe a little eclectic. I don't know, maybe not. But I grew up listening to like bluegrass, and so I love that because of my grandfather. He played bluegrass, so I still listen to a lot of bluegrass. But mostly, what I listen to is metalcore and hardcore music. So, my favorite band is probably right now. It changes week to week. My favorite one, the one I'm listening to the most right now, that's on repeat if I'm tying flies or doing anything, probably Comeback Kid from Canada. I don't know if I have a favorite song of them right now. I just, I don't know. Like, that's a good question. I have to really think about because I love all their songs there. Probably Somewhere, Somehow is probably my favorite right now. Just if I'm in the truck and I'm just driving around town, I just automatically go to that one and then go where I'm going. But I love Comeback Kid. I love Stick to Your Guns. The Ghost Inside, some of my favorites. Those are like probably some of my top three. I love Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. So I listened to a lot of metal when I was in high school and rock. And so on our fun story I'll share is that when we took our boat ride out to the island, we were listening to new metal. And that's what I listened to a lot when I was in high school. So it was like nostalgia. That's what I love about music is the nostalgia. So like the ride out there and the ride back was as much fun as the fishing because it was just rocking and hanging out and listening to music. So those are some of my favorite metal bands. If I'm listening to bluegrass, I love Trampled by Turtles. Okay. I just found 357 String Band. A friend introduced me to them. Benjamin Todd. Some kind of bluegrass folk music. So it's kind of like a weird one end of the spectrum to the other, but I love everything music. I mean, I can't sit there and tie without music or something going because it's just really like it gets that you get in that groove and you get in that rhythm with that, with that music going. You just start whipping out those flies and it kind of it makes it go by, like, oh, I'm going to listen. And before you know it, you've listened to the entire album or like, my Spotify wrap up at the end of the year. Yeah. How many hours is that? That's all listening, it's all me listening to fly, while I'm tying flies. So
that's awesome.
That's probably my favorites right now.
Well, cool, man. I appreciate you sharing that because like I said, it's such a big part of who I am. And usually when somebody gets on the boat, I let them take over the speaker. Yeah. And because I want to hear different stuff, so sometimes I'm playing my stuff. Sometimes if, whoever's with me, I'll be like, hey, what do you want to hear? Yeah. Or maybe you take it over and play
I'm the same way. I like if
that way
I'm always down.
I can get put on some new stuff.
If I'm on a road trip with somebody or hanging out with them, I'm like, hey, you put on what you want to listen to. I'll listen to anything. I love, I just love listening to music, no matter what it is. I'll find something that I can appreciate and really enjoy and about it. So it worked out great when we rode together because we, listening to. I don't remember what that mix was, but it had.
Oh man, we had Korn,
Slipknot, Linkin Park, Limp Bizkit, all the stuff I listened to. I mean, it was
Deftones,
straight. It was straight 2001, 2002, 2003 for me when I was like in high school and trying to figure out who I was and like what music I liked and stuff. And that's what it really.
Now I still don't know who I am.
Exactly, it changes every day.
Exactly, I go with the flow. But any future plans with you with Fly Time? Like, what's the move?
I do want to keep, so I tie for the shop and that's like my big driving force to keep me tying flies. And I want to keep tying more. I love to try to tie new things. The biggest thing I've been on like a quest for lately is I want to tie large flies, predator flies, something we don't really use here. So I don't have a lot of use for it, but it's just something I've gotten kind of obsessed with in the last few years. These big articulated patterns and in conventional fishing, you see the rise of swim baits, and I love the equivalent to that in fly tying, where you see people throwing these big pike flies and musky flies, and these big articulated flies that do the big, S turns, and you can just do these long strips. I mean, they just look so cool. They're overly complicated sometimes for no reason, which I love. I was talking yesterday to somebody about fly tying. And the biggest piece of advice I ever got was keep it simple. We're just tying material on a hook. But sometimes I just love to overcomplicate anything. So tying, that's where I think coming up with some redfish stuff and always keeping my bins here at the shop, trying to keep them full. I'm not very good at it. I apologize, Justin and AJ here at the shop. I promise I'll always try to do better about getting y'all some more flies, but my obsession lately, and it's where I keep looking at every time I tie something, I love tying crabs for the shop, but then it's like, man, I want to tie a big swim bait. I want to tie a big, articulated predator fly, and learning to do things like that and challenging myself in the next year. I'd love to get better at doing things like spinning deer hair and stuff like that. And I don't tie. If y'all ever look me up, don't ask me to tie anything smaller than a size 10 because it's not fun to me and I won't do it. I hate trying to tie trout flies. So that's definitely not on the horizon for me. I'll just find someone else who's made that they've mastered that task. So I'll take that from them and I'll trade them redfish flies or whatever. So that's what I mean. Definitely doing my best to keep, I want to do, I'm not trying to necessarily make a name for myself in fly tying because to me it's just a hobby. I'm not trying to make it a career, but I do love sharing my passion with other people. So I love doing it for the shop. So I just want to keep trying to do my best to put flies here that are quality flies that, like I said earlier, I get a lot of joy out of seeing my friends catch flies or people I don't even know, catch flies. And some of the biggest joy I've gotten in the last 2 years as a fly tyer and being up here with Justin in the shop is when people tag no egg and have a fly in that fish's mouth. And I was like, I tied that. That's cool. I tied that.
Yeah.
And they went and caught a fish on it. Our buddy Jacob, our mutual friend, that's how I kind of met him. He was friends with Justin, came in, bought some of my flies. He's like, man, these flies are money. I'm catching fish on these flies. And I was like, man, that's what I want to hear. That's cool to me.
Yeah.
I want to know that the stuff I'm doing, and it's not hard for redfish. It's, they're not super smart fish by any means. I don't care what people say, but it's still so cool. So that's where I see myself. Hopefully the next couple of years is still here, hanging out. I teach people to tie flies with the club. So I lead a couple of the intermediate and advanced fly tying classes. And that's what I love to do. Is hopefully that's where hopefully in 2 years, I'm still here doing that. That's, Lord willing and the creek don't rise, I'll still be here. So
for sure. Well, man, I think that's solid, dude, that you're really loyal to the shop and to your friends and just enjoy tying stuff that you want to see people fishing and you like to see them catching fish on it. So I really appreciate that about you.
I appreciate that.
Man, I really, really just want to say thank you for being on the first episode of the Magnolia Fly Podcast. I want to thank No Wake and Justin and the rest of the crew. Really appreciate you guys for hosting us and letting us set up and do it here. Hopefully y'all allow me back again and we'll do some more content and get some more people on here. But man, I look forward to getting you back on another episode and kind of catching up and talking about some different things and seeing where things have gone, especially with those big articulated streamers.
Yeah, I mean,
we're going to lay some out and talk about them and see what it is that really got you to tying them the way you tied them and what you're actually tying them for. Like, who are they targeted for? What fish species?
I like it. We could do that.
All right, my man. Well, I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, dude. I appreciate you. Thanks for
sure.
I was honored to be asked to be number one on this. This was pretty cool. So this is a first for me. So
many more.
Made my day.
Right. And thank you guys for tuning in. See y'all next episode.